This is Thursday, January 28th, writing lesson. We are continuing our evidence writing study. So our objective for today is I can support my answers with evidence and elaboration. Just like we talked about yesterday, our goal is to strengthen our yes ma'am responses. So we're going to practice using evidence and then elaborating on that evidence. Elaboration is another word for explanation or explaining. So again, like we talked about yesterday, we have the basic format of yes ma'am down. We know how to restate the question and provide an opinion. We know how to use those sentence stems with our evidence portion of the response, and we know how to use text evidence. But what we really want to focus on is kind of tweaking our response and using it in our own words too. So again, here we've got multiple sentence starters or sentence stems that we can use. That's up to you on which ones you would like to use. You have the choice there. So similar to yesterday, I'm going to answer the question by writing my response. I'm going to use evidence from the video, and then I'm going to also use my own words to help explain my answer. So the question that I need to answer here is what causes bad breath? So I'm going to play the video, and then I'll show you what my response looks like.
There is a curse that has plagued humanity since ancient times. The Greeks fought it by chewing aromatic resins, while the Chinese resorted to eggshells. In the ancient Jewish Talmud, it's even considered legal grounds for divorce. This horrible scourge is halitosis, otherwise known as bad breath. But what causes it, and why is it so universally terrifying? Well, think of some of the worst odors you can imagine, like garbage, feces, or rotting meat. All of these smells come from the activity of microorganisms, particularly bacteria. And as disgusting as it may sound, similar bacteria live in the moisture-rich environment of your mouth. Don't panic. The presence of bacteria in your body is not only normal, it's actually vital for all sorts of things like digestion and disease prevention. But like all living things, bacteria need to eat. The bacteria in your mouth feed off of mucus, food remnants, and dead tissue cells. In order to absorb nutrients through their cell membranes, they must break down the organic matter into much smaller molecules. For example, they'll break proteins into their component amino acids, and then break those down even further into various compounds. Some of the foul-smelling byproducts of these reactions, such as hydrogen sulfide and cadaverine, escape into the air and waft their way towards unsuspecting noses. Our sensitivity to these odors and interpretation of them as bad smells may be an evolutionary mechanism, warning us of rotten food and the presence of disease. Smell is one of our most intimate and primal senses, playing a huge role in our attraction to potential mates. In one poll, 59% of men and 70% of women said they wouldn't go on a date with someone who has bad breath, which may be why Americans alone spend $1 billion a year on various breath products. Fortunately, most bad breath is easily treated. The worst-smelling byproducts come from gram-negative bacteria that live in the spaces between gums and teeth, and on the back of the tongue. By brushing and flossing our teeth, using antibacterial mouthwash at bedtime, gently cleaning the back of the tongue with a plastic scraper, and even just eating a healthy breakfast, we can remove many of these bacteria and their food sources. In some cases, these measures may not be enough due to dental problems, nasal conditions, or rarer ailments such as liver disease and uncontrolled diabetes. Behaviors like smoking and excessive alcohol consumption also have a very recognizable odor. Regardless of cause, the bad smell almost always originates in the mouth and not the stomach or elsewhere in the body. But one of the biggest challenges lies in actually determining how our breath smells in the first place, and it's unclear why. It may be that we're too acclimatized to the smell inside our own mouths to judge it, and methods like cupping your hands over your mouth or licking and smelling your wrist don't work perfectly either. One study showed that even when people do this, they tend to rate the smell subjectively, according to how bad they thought it was going to be. But there's one simple, if socially difficult, way of finding out how your breath smells. Just take a deep breath and ask a friend.
Okay, so let me show you what my response looked like. The question is, what causes bad breath? Bad breath is caused by bacteria in the mouth. That right there is my restate. I'm taking words from the question, but I am transforming that into a declarative sentence. According to the video, bacteria can live between the gums and teeth inside the mouth. There's my evidence right there, and I use a sentence stem. The video also states that the combination of this bacteria and the reactions that take place inside the mouth can also create bad breath. I gave a second piece of evidence from the video, and I used a second sentence stem. Like I talked about yesterday, the thing that makes this different from reading a text and responding to it is that we cannot copy the evidence word for word because there's not any text in front of us. This uses our listening comprehension here. So it kind of forces us to write our response in our own words here. We're still using evidence from the video, but we are not using it word for word. We're putting it in our own words. So just like yesterday's exit ticket, you're going to watch this video and answer the question on Edulastic. So again, you can refer back to this video to see how I answered my question. We want to restate, use those sentence starters, and provide evidence. So the question you'll be answering here is, what causes cavities? Again, I know this is pretty new to us, so if there's any questions about this at all or you need some extra assistance, please let me know.